You've been pretty clear that you think Republican Congressman Max Miller from Ohio needs to go following the physical abuse allegations by his ex-wife, not to mention two other women. Miller was on our show yesterday. Here's a little bit of what he had to say on the lead.
In 2016, when President Donald J. Trump faced the most extreme allegations, he stayed in and he was resilient. And what the American people can see is that they can see that somebody is fighting who is resilient, and that is a quality that the American people cherish.
So he thinks that if he follows the Trump playbook, he can emerge victorious. What do you think?
The American people have given Donald Trump a pass on a lot that they don't give anyone a pass on. Max Miller is no Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, by the way, didn't have physical abuse allegations against women, despite the various allegations. I mean, Max Miller has physical abuse allegations, not just against an ex-wife. People can say this is some sort of messy divorce. He's got physical abuse allegations against multiple women. He's no Graham Plantner. I mean, the Democrats pushed Plantner out. They pushed Eric Swalwell out. They pushed Joe Biden out of a presidential race. The fact that Republicans won't push him out, he could cost the GOP not just his congressional race, but also the Senate race in Ohio and the governor's race in Ohio, where, by the way, Republicans are behind right now. You got multiple hundreds of thousands of Republicans in his district who may just sit it out because they don't want to vote for him. I can't imagine why the GOP isn't going to the lengths the Democrats were willing to go to just to make sure a race is won in their column.
I think there were some allegations of physical abuse against President Trump. Not to put too fine a point, E. Jean Carroll and others, but I take your larger point that Max Miller is not Donald Trump. Explain why you think that he could not only cost Republicans his congressional seat, but also hurt Vivek Ramaswamy, who's running for governor in Ohio, and Senator Husted, who's running for election to the Senate in Ohio. How could he hurt them?
This is a point Republicans got to pay attention to. There are 789,000 people in Max Miller's 7th congressional district. Of those, over 300,000 are registered voters, and of those, the majority of them are Republicans. Husted and Ramaswamy are running slightly behind their Democratic candidates. If 100,000 Republicans in Max Miller's district decide, you know what, I'm not going to go vote, this is disgusting, they're not going to go vote for Ramaswamy or Husted either. And if they lose by 50 to 75,000 votes, I mean, that could cost it. I mean, look up in Michigan, Mike Rogers lost his 2024 election to Elise Slotkin by, I think, 30,000 votes. You could have this happen in Ohio. Every vote counts, and suppress the vote with a bad candidate. You cost 3 seats, not 1 seat in Ohio.
So, David, Max Miller, we hear what he has told Manu. If you're advising Max Miller right now, what are you advising?
Get some help is one thing. I mean, look, first of all, I'd say think about your family and what this is doing to your family. And I think his ex-father-in-law made an important point. I mean, how much do you value your political career versus the well-being of your child? But listen, I said we spoke about this earlier in another place in this building, but and I said that, and he is doing what his mentor taught him to do. He is denying, he is denying, he is denying. And, as for the speaker is a very moral man, and he consults higher sources on questions like this, like the president. That's the source he consults. And if Donald Trump said he has to go, they would ask him to go. But this Max Miller's close to him. He, touched all of Donald Trump's funny bones yesterday on Jake's interview and said, I'm just doing what I learned from the president and so on. And so he didn't. But I think it could cost them a seat because that is a +5 partisan lean for Republicans, but that's not an insuperable barrier. Now, I will say last thing. Sorry, Essie.
You go, please.
The last thing in the Washington Post, they did an interview and his constituents said, no, we're not going to.
That's exactly what I was looking at today, too.
I know, I was reading your notes.
Thank you.
So, but this one woman said she would probably separate his personal foibles, meaning domestic abuse, from her political considerations, as she has done for President Donald Trump. I know there are things in his past that people aren't happy with, and I've had to set it aside. If it comes to that, that's where I stand. So, this is the kind of environment that the president has created. And it's not limited. As you point out, Democrats have these, but in terms of discipline, there really isn't any.
What do you think of what David's raising? Because the Washington Post, the way they put it is that the scandal is barely registering back at home. And they talked to dozens of voters in his district, they said. And to David's point, yes, some said, I can't back him anymore. But it seems that the general take is either they're not paying attention to it, it hasn't broken through there yet, or one woman who described herself as a Trumplican said they can say all they want, but it's not going to sway my vote. I'm not perfect, and I'm not that great of a person all the time, so I can't judge him. I'd have to vote for him even if I can't stand him. Her kind of suggesting, because I've got to, it's Republican or bust, right? It's Trump's person or bust. I don't know. What do you do with that?
Well, that's a group of people, and I feel like they're impenetrable. But I think there's a larger group of people that with every time they see this guy talk, right? And he did Jake yesterday. He also went on Newsmax yesterday. He is talking and talking, and he will not be able to campaign in a vacuum. Mm-hmm. I think more and more people will be turned off because when you watch this guy, when you listen to this guy, and we know he's denied all the allegations, he sounds creepy. He sounds really, really creepy. And so I think he's going to be his own worst enemy here. His defiance, his ego, his refusal to do the right thing for his family, to David's point, or for his party, politically, I think is going to be the thing that imperils the seat. And David's right. Ohio is competitive. Mm-hmm. And people like me, whose job it is to go out and talk about this, are going to tie him to Ken Paxton, to, all the other Republicans facing this kind of scrutiny and asking, is it worth it? Is he worth it to keep backing him? And I don't really understand what the meaning of leadership is.
I was going to ask that too.
For Mike Johnson, J.D. Vance, Donald Trump, any of these guys, if you're not going to lead on these issues of character and you're going to push it right up to the very edge and make voters decide, where the line is, you're not leaders, you're followers.
Right, and that's the reason that the speaker is there, because he is a follower and he follows the president, and if the president said he has to go, he has to go.
Think about this, but the little, yes, it's taking it insight even further that Manu adds is because of the existing bad, frosty, as Manu described it, relationship between Max Miller and the speaker. There might be a calculation here of the speaker being like, if I come out and say, get out, he's going to say, I'm not going to. Should that be a calculation for a person in leadership?
Here's what I wonder. I wonder if I'm a member of the House and I'm fighting my ass off to try and keep the majority against great odds that have been made more difficult because the president's so unpopular. How do I feel about a speaker who's willing to give up a seat and not confront the issue? That would really anger me if I were them.
Do you think that when it comes down to it, we know that the speaker, it seems the speaker doesn't move unless he's going to hear something from the president. We know the president's been, the reporting is that he's privately does not think that Miller can win, given the accusations. Publicly, well, let me play what he said, actually, publicly, just overnight.
Can you comment on Representative Miller? I hope he's able to work it out. I feel badly for him.
Is this dynamic really not changing unless Donald Trump just, I don't know what he sees, but he sees something and decides that he's now going to say Max has got to go?
Well, that would be out of character for him. He has a long and consistent record of defending guys who have been accused of this kind of stuff, from Herschel Walker to Roy Moore. Now, the good news...
To Donald Trump.
But the good news in that, Rob Porter, there's a lot, but the good news in that is those people didn't win. Right? The voters ultimately decided. So even though these guys want to shirk their responsibilities and their moral obligations to guide their party and their voters to the right place, the voters ultimately will make that call. And I truly believe that the more people hear from Max Miller, the more they will decide they cannot, in good conscience, give this guy their vote.
When he says he's not going anywhere, that's the thing he's ignoring. The people of his district can dispatch him, and I think there's a very good chance they will. But the odd thing about that quote that you played from the president was he said, I feel badly for him. What about for his wife? What about for his child? What about for Senator Marino and the family? That sort of absence of empathy for them is very telling.
It is remarkable how I mean, the fact that a sitting Republican senator is the former father-in-law and the one that's taking a stand against another Republican from the state in the congressional delegation. I mean, this whole thing, again, I've said that I just can't. It is
It's
just,
awful.
it's awful.
It's awful.
It is awful.